in God's Word, September 2nd. 1 Samuel 26, 1 Corinthians 7, Ezekiel 5, Psalm 42 and 43. Some great places to read today. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 7 to talk about marriage. You're like, well, I'm not married. Well, then just listen up, because there might still be something worthwhile and in for your life as well. It says, in response to the matters he wrote about, it's good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman, but because sexual immorality is so common, the day then was not much different than today, sadly. Each should have sexual relations with his own wife, and each woman should have sexual relations with her own husband. A husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise a wife to her husband. A wife does not have the right over her own body, but her husband does. In the same way, a husband does not have the right over his own body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another, except when you agree for a time to devote yourselves to pray. Then come together again, otherwise Satan may tempt you because of your lack of self-control. I say this as a concession, not a command. I wish that all people were as I am, but each has his own gift from God. One person has this gift, another has that. What gift is he talking about there? Well, it seems that he's talking about the gift of singleness. That's kind of what he's implying that he has. But he recognizes it as a gift, and so the concession for temptation is at a certain point it's probably wise to get married. And then to have a healthy marriage includes healthy sexual relationship. You can read it there. It's very clear. Paul didn't beat around the bush. He didn't provide a way out. He just says, hey, don't deprive one another except for mutual time, for mutual consent, for a short period of time, especially if you're going for prayer or something like that and there's a season, but otherwise come back together. Don't allow that be an area of your life that takes over control. You are one, and so we continue to have those relationships in marriage between a man and a woman, one life, one wife, one husband, till death do you part. He says to the unmarried and to widows, it's good if you remain as I am, but if you don't have self-control, they should marry, since it's better to marry than to burn with desire. And this often is used for young people, but it's not just about young people. It could be for anyone. And so he gives instructions there about married people and leaving or not leaving and what all that looks like. And you're like, well, they don't believe, and I believe. And, well, if he says in verse 13, if he's willing to live with her, she must not divorce her husband. If the unbelieving husband is made holy by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is made holy by the husband. But if the unbeliever leaves, let him leave. A brother or sister is not bound in such cases. God has called you to live in peace. Wife, for all you know, you might save your husband. Husband, for all you know, you might save your wife. Here's the bottom line. Let each live his life in the situation the Lord assigned when God called him. This is what I say in all the churches, right? And he's going to continue, And the difference between those who are married and those who are not is those that are not married, he says in verse 32, he's concerned about the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But the married man is concerned about the things of the world, how he may please his wife, and his interests are divided. The unmarried woman or virgin is concerned about the things of the Lord, so she may be holy both in body and spirit. But the married woman is concerned about the things of the world, how she may please her husband. I'm saying this for your own benefit, not to put a restraint on you, but to promote what is proper, and so that you may be devoted to the Lord without distraction. Well, why was it necessary for Paul to walk through all of these things and make clear what his thoughts were on it in regard to unmarried people, married people? Because they lived in a culture and a time where marriage was not honored and valued, and immorality was rampant, as we've already seen in this chapter, in this book of Corinthians. And so the church, the believers, were to live differently, and they didn't know what that looked like. And so that's one of the reasons for this letter, is to help them understand what it looks like to live this new Christian life, this new holy life, And so he gives instructions for those married, instructions for those not married, instructions for those who are thinking that we probably should get married. But at the end of the day, he says a wife is bound as long as her husband is living, and her husband dies, she's free to marry outside anyone she wants in the Lord. What's that? Just making it clear, if you're a believer, you should marry a believer. Makes sense. So again, if you hear this chapter and you think, man, I'm not married. Well, there is a part about unmarried there. You're living in it for the Lord. Your heart and your mind is focused on Him. That's a good thing. Don't think you're missing out. You're not less than a person. That's teaching that's garbage. And sometimes we've presented it that way. And so we need to be careful to honor and value everyone in the situation they're at as they go after Jesus, married or unmarried. Till next time, keep growing little by little.